Okay, well, I'm back doing this again. Another weekly Rummage Sale movies. Honestly, that last one, where I did the 10 big box movies of horror, that was just... it took a lot out of me doing that, and I didn't want to do any more. But a part of me does like doing these, and I had I had already set out the movies I was going to watch for this one. I already decided I already picked them out. So I figured I got them. Might as well do them. And I have another 4 film in one thing, so it's only 2 cases. I like to do that, keep the collection physically smaller, even if there's a lot of movies. So I've got 4 sci-fi films. I have The Black Hole, Final Days of Planet Earth, The Last Sentinel, and Supernova. So 4 sci-fi films. And then I've also got Jericho Mansion, starring James Caan. So, as usual, I'm going to watch these movies in random order, and then come back and talk about them. And also, since I don't really feel like editing this at all, you're going to see this little bit where I have to go back and turn off the camera, actually. Because of course I don't have a cameraman or anything like that. Alright, I'm back. I just watched all 5 of these movies, and I guess as I go along doing this, I learn valuable lessons when it comes to the types of movies I'm picking out. For example, last week I learned a valuable lesson that if there are 10 horror movies crammed into one box, they're probably all bad. And today I learned another valuable lesson, and I'll get to that. Because I'll start off, first I ended up watching The Black Hole, starring Christy Swanson and Judd Nelson. Judd Nelson, I'm pretty sure he was the Breakfast Club guy, and now he does a bunch of stuff that is nothing similar to his Breakfast Club character at all. Christy Swanson sounds vaguely familiar. I'm sure I probably know who that is. This was just kind of your stereotypical mediocre sci-fi film, science experiment goes wrong, shit happens, main character is like a father he's got an ex-wife, he wants to take care of his kids or whatnot, they don't want anything to do with them, just your standard sci-fi schlock. And this movie starts off with they're doing some experiment for something, I don't know, I didn't pay attention, and apparently the experiment goes wrong, as usual, and they create a black hole, and some invisible electric alien pops out of the black hole, starts killing people, and also starts, attacking electricity. It needs to, absorb electricity or whatever. And so, of course, they need to stop it, because, they got the alien ramping around, and they got the black hole sucking stuff in and destroying St. Louis. So, yeah, like I said, it's just, it is what it is. It's a mediocre sci-fi schlock. If you really want to watch something and you can't find anything else to watch, sure. You might be better off just watching nothing or rewatching a TV show is good, but whatever. And then after that, I ended up watching Final Days of Planet Earth. This one right here. And this is where I learned a valuable lesson. When you're dealing with sci-fi films, there's a high chance sci-fi films, as in the Sci-Fi Channel. Maybe not the Sci-Fi Channel, but again, there is the high chance that that some bad sci-fi movie was made for TV. And now, how that comes to the problem, because sometimes with TV, they like to do parts to make it longer and prolong your agony for some reason. Like the 90s Thing, they call it a miniseries for some reason. I think it was just 2 parts. I don't know how long that was. I think I saw it, or maybe I saw parts of it, parts. But this, Final Days of Planet Earth, was divided into 2 parts with a total running time of 170 minutes. You know, almost 3 hours, like 250. I think that's right. 60 minutes in an hour. Yeah. I mean, with credits, it probably boils down to an even 245. But still, it's very hard for a film to pull off 245. Not every film does it. That's why a lot of films will stay in the nice 90-minute range, you know, hour and a half. It's pretty decent for a film. You know, a lot of the bigger, blockbuster, more expensive films will venture into the 2 hours or even 2:15, or if they're feeling a little risky, the 2:30 area. But not many films, I don't want to say not many because I don't know everything, but not a lot of films will venture into the 2:45 or even the 3-hour mark. Dark Knight Rises pulled it off, in my opinion. I know a lot of people don't like Dark Knight Rises. One of my favorite superhero movies, Dark Knight Rises, but that's another discussion. Endgame pulled off 3 hours. I wasn't completely sure they were going to be able to pull it off, but they did. I'll admit it. I was wrong. It Chapter 2, which I never talked about. I saw it. But It Chapter 2 had a, 245, kind of pulled it off. They could have taken away about 15 minutes, but again, that's another discussion too. See, I'm like drive-by shooting conversations I would much rather have to talk about this shit. So, Final Days of Planet Earth. 245, we'll round that off to 170 minutes. Boy, was this was not good. It was just not good. It was it was about alien cockroaches or whatever are invading the municipal system of some random city. You could just say it's New York, why not? I don't know my cities. I mean, I know, like, identifying landmarks, like, oh, that's the Empire State Building, and if it's pre-2000, like, oh, it's the Twin Towers. You're watching Home Alone, Lost in New York, but I guess you don't know. I guess you don't need the Twin Towers as reference for Home Alone, Lost in New York, because the title is Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. But, anyway, I didn't notice any, signature landmarks, so it could have been some city I didn't, recognize. Like, I don't know what the hell Philadelphia or Boston looks like, but who cares about those cities? Anyway, so alien cockroaches are taking over people and, using them for food or something to gain liquid. There's, some crazy cosmonaut guy they need to rescue or whatever, I don't know. Honest, I wasn't paying that too much attention, because it didn't start off very good. Like, the first 30 minutes of this movie, maybe it wasn't 30 minutes, but the first opening of this movie is very disconnected. It's just, 5 random people with random stuff, and you're trying to, figure out one guy, who's this guy? What's he doing? What's going on here? And they're like, nope, we're going to cut you off and go to this other guy, but don't worry about him too long, because we're going to shoot a third person in there. And it's random. It's like, well, this one guy is wondering where all the birds went, and then this other lady's killing cockroaches. Like, what? How did these connect? And then finally, they all meet up at the government building, like a city hall or whatever. And I guess that could be the moment that you're like, oh, the storylines are intersecting, but who cares? So, yeah, and then they go on an adventure to kill the cockroach queen, who's the main chick on the cover. I don't know her name. I don't know any of these people. None of these guys look familiar. Daryl Hannah does sound vaguely familiar. Maybe I'm confusing it with a different person, but So it wasn't very good. Too long. Too long. And then next, I ended up watching The Last Sentinel. It's right there. Last Sentinel. I don't know why I need to show you these movies. You really even care. This stars Don Wilson, who apparently is like Don the Dragon Wilson. I guess this was a big deal, him being in it, from what I saw on the internet. And about that, like, I'm not gonna get excited about a non-actor being an actor in a movie. You know, I'm sorry. I don't care if, you know, Dale Earnhardt Jr. or Shaquille O'Neal is being in a movie, because they're not actors. Like, why am I going to get excited about that? You know, it's just like, I'd rather an actor be in a movie, because that's what you need in movies. You need actors. And I'm not even going to, like, and it almost seems like unfair to criticize the poor guy's acting ability, because sure, maybe he is doing a good job. You know, he's doing what he's told, reading the lines that were written for him, but everything else doesn't work. So it's like, it's almost like being a dead horse, because the writing's bad, his co-stars aren't any better, the directing's not any good. So it also stars Katie Sackhoff, who was in one popular TV show one time, and now everybody's crazy about her for some reason. I've never understood it. I think she's kind of overrated. This movie doesn't prove me wrong, so score 1 for William. Also stars Keith David, who is cool. Keith David was in The Thing. I like that a lot. He was also in Saints Row. I was just playing Saints Row last night. He's in that too. It's neat. He plays himself. I mean, to be honest, Keith David was the best part of the movie. He plays the disembodied AI voice of a minigun. Because I guess that's the thing in this post-apocalyptic world, is the guns that the soldiers team up with, the guns have AIs that like talk to them, because like the guns will scan shit. And that's remotely interesting, I suppose. I did like what Keith David did. It was somewhat amusing. It was very like propaganda, which I thought was interesting. But he's not in it that much. I feel like he just showed up for a couple days to go in the sound booth and read his lines, and then he got out of there. Cashed his paycheck and bought a second yacht or something. I don't know. This movie, I'll be honest. Again, I lost interest in this super quick. Wasn't paying all that much attention. There were flashbacks that went right over my head. I wasn't like, I don't care. Like, oh, Keith David's a human now. I guess this is before. Are we gonna learn how he becomes a machine gun? Nope. Okay. I mean, they don't like explain that. Do they like take his mind and once he dies and put it into a gun? I don't even know if he dies. Like some random guy died they made a big deal with. It's just, dumb sci-fi mixed with boring action. If you can't even make the action exciting, why are you even trying? It's like post-apocalyptic. There are robot drone cops that have replaced regular cops, and now they're killing humans for whatever reason. I suppose it's like a Skynet thing. Self-aware, the only way to save humans is to kill them. That old chestnut we see over and over again in sci-fi films. But, yeah. No thanks. It was bad. And, thankfully, I suppose, I got to switch to Jericho Mansions, starring James Caan. Who I think James Caan is like a good actor. I mean, even the best actors will show up in some schlocky films. Like, why is this goose again? It's staying put. I mean, I got the discs in the wrong thing. I didn't even bother going back, but whatever. So yeah, this is about like an apartment building, and James Caan is like the superintendent, I suppose. He's not like the owner, because some old crazy lady is the owner. And someone dies and James Caan kind of wants to like figure out who killed him, and he's like, maybe I killed him, and then he figures out who killed him. And again, I wasn't paying all that much attention. I was kind of doing other things, which I feel like I should avoid in any other time. See, 98 minutes. That's how you do a runtime. Okay, you don't do no 170 minutes. Movie was okay. I kind of didn't get the twist at the end, or maybe it was a twist. I don't know. But again, wasn't paying attention. Didn't really care at this point. When you sit through 3 bad sci-fi films, you know, you tend to check out a little bit. But I mean, and I don't think I was missing, you know, anything great here. Because I mean, I was following it for the most part. But I know a lot of times people will tack on a twist ending just because, you know, they feel like they have to. And then, last but certainly not least, I suppose, I watched Supernova. This stars Luke Perry, which I know who Luke Perry is. I know he died recently. I think he was on Riverdale? Maybe. It does feel kind of like shitty that this is the first thing with Luke Perry that I've seen, given he just died recently, or somewhat recently, but Peter Fonda is in it, Emma Samms, Tia Carrere, and Lance Henriksen from Millennium fame. Okay show, I suppose. Again, they're destroying St. Louis for some reason. St. Louis. I don't know. This is about like some scientist guy, Peter Fonda, who I just thought was Lance Henriksen, like looking weird. But no, it isn't. It's just they're 2 different characters. They play 2 different characters, not the same at all. He discovers that the sun is older than we think it is, and so it's about to go supernova, which, if you know science, as you know, is bad. Like, I know supernovas are bad. You know, the sun gets big, explodes. But and so they're looking for Peter Fonda. And I don't really know what they're trying to do in this movie. And, oh yeah, again, 172 minutes long. There is no need for this. And I'll explain where you could have cut out a lot of time. I'll explain it when I get towards the end, in the spoiler part, I suppose. But yeah, it's not even like... They're not trying to, like, stop the sun or something. I feel like most of this movie is them looking for Peter Fonda, and then them, like, traveling to locations. There's, like, a plot line, how they're building underground bunkers. They're not ready for whatever reason. You know, government built giant bunkers in case of a apocalyptic scenario. But it seems like towards the end of the movie, it just becomes like, we gotta double check our work to see if we were right. And so, like, they double check their work, and it's like, oh no, we made a mistake. We had a plus sign instead of a negative sign. So the sun's not gonna go supernova. Even though it already kind of did and destroy some cities, it's not gonna destroy the entire Earth like we had originally thought. Yay, let's celebrate. Even though you didn't actually do anything. You didn't do anything. There was no point. You didn't need to be in the movie. It's like, oh no, the sun's attacking us. Is it going to destroy the Earth? Oh no, it didn't. That's all you need. If you're going to do that, if you're going to do a mistake in the... And then, to make it worse, like, the 7th act of the movie, I suppose, is some random nonsense about, like, a guy who was in jail wanting to kill Luke Perry's wife. Like, I don't know. Why? Like, we established that that's where he's going. Because, like, he's being transferred in prison, and then son shoots shit down, and guy escapes with another prisoner, but he kills that prisoner for no reason, to prove he's evil, I suppose. And then he starts looking for Luke Perry's wife and wanting to kill her for whatever reason. I'm not picking that back up. But I don't understand why that is in the movie at all. And, you know, he goes to Luke Perry's house, finds that somehow, kills some lady who was there. I thought the lady was someone else, like, oh, that character died, but no. The character I thought died shows up again. I don't know who the first character was. But he goes to, like, kill Luke Perry's wife or ex-wife, I don't know. Like, again, I mentioned it's a classic trope of the separated husband and wife with the little girl. I think they were married and, like, together. Because I know he was trying to get back to her for a while. They did have a little girl too. I don't know why that's a plot line in the movie, if I'm being completely honest. It doesn't make any logical sense to me. It's like, how do we end Supernova, the movie about the sun invading? We just have an escaped convict try and kill the main character. What? How does that work? And like I said, it's 172 minutes. You don't need all that stuff. It was longer than the first one by 2 minutes somehow. And like there was some like main girl, like other main character girl who died randomly. I was like, okay, I suppose. I don't know if they were setting up like a romance between her and Luke Perry, but who knows. See, just like these 170-minute. Okay, well, this one was a little different than the first one in that a lot of the storylines didn't feel as connected. Because, like, in the first one, like I mentioned, how it opens up with the multiple characters and multiple storylines, but then eventually they intersect and start moving forward. But this is more like, you know, you got a character over here, you got a character over here, and they're doing stuff, and like, oh, hey, how you doing? And then they'll... So it's like, why are we... What's the point of it? What's the purpose of this? You know, you got the subplot of reporter lady and other lady, who I don't know where she comes from, and they're trying to get the word out that shit's going bad, besides you just look out the window, and, you know, the radio station wants to stop them. They didn't give Lance Henriksen enough to do in this. It's another bad movie with him in it. It was like Harbinger Down. It was like The Thing, except it was on a boat in the snow. But yeah. So I think Supernova might have been the worst of the lot. Although Last Sentinel was pretty bad too. I don't know. If you haven't checked it out yet, I have a letterbox where I'm compiling a list of all these crappy movies that I've been watching and ranking them and comparing them so you can find out which one in general was the worst, and you can find how these compare to the other movies that I've seen. Might be interesting and worth checking out. And again, as I did in the first half, I'm not going to bother editing this, so I'm just going to have to get a little closer to the camera here so I can turn it off while I stay in frame, and I will see you guys next time.